You've just driven into Longleat's version of the African savannah, and on the pastures around you are two of its most iconic animals. First up, the Rothschild's giraffe, the tallest animal on the planet, all down to that long neck. Now, believe it or not, that neck has the same amount of vertebrae in it as we have in ours, just 7, but obviously they're much longer. It's the perfect tool for reaching the most tender leaves on the prickliest of trees, which other animals simply can't reach. But there's another purpose for it. When two male giraffe battle it out for territory, they wield those necks like a pair of medieval maces, hitting each other with phenomenal force until the other submits. Hard to imagine, given their placid nature out here. Hopefully, you're getting to see them up close, and if you can, have a look at those eyelashes. They're like something you'd find on a camel. And their spots, well, those are similar to the pattern you'd find on a leopard. Which is why, when early explorers first encountered giraffe, they thought that this incredible animal was a mixture of both a camel and a leopard. And looking at them, you can really see why. Living amongst the giraffe is our herd of Grant zebras, complete with their characteristic black and white trim. It's almost as though you were looking at a horse wearing stripy pyjamas, and that's not far from the truth. Zebras are in the horse family and closely related to the animals living in our fields here in Britain. But it's that striking coloration that sets them apart, and in Africa, where lions hunt them, those stripes are their lifeline. The stripes act like a kind of camouflage, breaking up the zebra's outline in the long grass of the savannah, making it hard for lions to single one out. Those magical stripes also help deter flying insects that may want to bite them, which is really important in Africa, as many of them carry fatal blood-borne diseases. No trip in the big game park would be complete without the heavyweight champions themselves, the white rhino. They are generally passive animals, and their eyesight is quite poor. Although they are strong enough to charge your car and even flip it over, don't worry, they won't consider your vehicle a threat. Those horns are composed of the same material as our fingernails, but unfortunately, they're highly prized by some cultures, and because of that, these animals have been so thoroughly persecuted that in some regions they've completely disappeared. It's a tragedy that an animal that's been around for so long now could become extinct because of us. I really hope that doesn't happen. We're now driving into the big game park. And in here, there are lots of different animals from all over the world. So stay alert, keep your eyes peeled, and let's go exploring. Cast your eyes around the enclosure and see if you can spot the reddish-brown cows. Can you see them yet? They're the ones with insanely huge horns that can be a staggering 2 meters long. That's taller than me. Well, those are Ankoli cattle. They live in Africa and hold the record for the world's biggest horn circumference of any bull. Pretty impressive. Next up, have a look for our Bactrian camels. I guess the most prominent feature are those two great big humps. Some of them are so big and heavy that they've slopped right over to one side. It's often thought that the humps are full of water, but they're actually composed of fat. And when that fat is broken down, it provides water, ideal for a desert animal. And that shaggy coat of theirs acts as a sunshade to protect them from the searing temperatures of summer. And it also keeps them warm during the long frozen winters of Tibet and Siberia, where they live. There's one animal in here that needs no introduction, the ostrich. Can you spot it? It's the largest of all the birds, and although it can't fly, it can certainly run. These avian athletes can reach lightning speeds of 70 kilometers an hour, with strides of an impressive 5 meters, more than a match for most predators who may fancy a feathery meal. They're very inquisitive, so don't be surprised if they come quite close to your car. This is Anne, the Asian elephant. She arrived here at Longleat back in 2011 and has been a real delight for the Longleat keepers. As well as her own special team of keepers dedicated to her well-being, she has the freedom of her paddock to play in as and when she likes. Elephants are supremely intelligent and totally aware of their surroundings, so to keep her busy and entertained, the keepers here plan a hugely varied programme of enrichment in addition to her day-to-day care. Anne is so clever. As fast as the keepers can think of new and novel ways to kindle her interest, she figures it out and looks forward to her next challenge. You're now in the holding area, about to head into one of the most exciting habitats at Longleat, housing one of the most powerful predators in the world, the biggest of the big cats, the Amur or Siberian tiger. This is tiger territory, and inside this enclosure is our group of Siberian tigers. Fully grown males can easily weigh 5 times my body weight, and from the tip of their tail to their nose, they can reach a staggering 3 meters in length. Despite their weight and their size, these tigers have an incredible ability to creep up silently on their prey. Moving delicately on those huge paws, making sure they don't even break the smallest of twigs, they create no sound. Deliberately positioning themselves downwind of an animal so it can't smell them coming. Only when they are within 10 meters or so will they pounce, harnessing all that power and strength to bring down their prey. No long drawn-out chase here, just stealth, cunning, and pinpoint precision timing. As you drive around the top end of their enclosure, you'll notice the pool area. While many cats tend to stay away from water, tigers love it. They drink it, of course, but they lie in it too to cool down, and they also use it to help catch their prey. They'll often chase their quarry into water where immediately it's at a disadvantage, and the tiger can make its killer blow. If you're alongside one now, check out that distinctive tiger coat, the bright orange, white belly and black stripes. Although it stands out here amongst the green grass at Longleat, in a woodland back home where they live, they blend in so perfectly that you can be meters from them and you simply wouldn't see them. So, we're now in lion country. There are 2 separate prides of lion ahead of us, and this is essentially where the whole Longleat story began. The 6th Marquess of Bath wanted a really big attraction to bring more people here to Longleat, and in 1966 he opened the first safari park outside of Africa, right here. For the first time, visitors were able to see lions roaming free in the English countryside, which, if you think about it, at the time was inspired eccentricity. But you can see that it really has worked, as we now have running free in this enclosure a pretty substantial pride of lions. Now, lions are very unusual amongst the larger cats in that they do stick together in groups. But it's the lionesses that do all the work. They'll cooperate closely as a team, some lying hidden, while others chase the prey animal into an ambush. Once the lionesses have caught the food, the males often bully their way to the kill. Once they've had their fill, the lionesses get to eat, and then finally, the cubs. When it comes to feeding time here at Longleat, the keepers drive a tractor with a big cage behind it through the enclosure, and the lions chase after it, organising themselves in hunt mode, very much as they would do if they were in the wild. The keepers then open up a chute in the cage and drop out chunks of meat. The lions don't feed on a whole carcass as they would naturally in the wild, because it's possible that they'd fight over it, and we don't want the animals here injuring each other. Instead, by feeding them in this way, they get separate chunks of meat that they can take away themselves and feed on in peace. You're in the territory of the fastest land mammal on the planet, the cheetah. Nothing comes close in comparison. They can reach a top speed of around 70 miles an hour, accelerating from 0 to 60 in just 3 seconds. Everything about them is built like an athlete, and they'll quite happily hunt birds, small mammals, and even antelope. The cheetah's feet are very different to all other cats. If you look at the track of a lion or a tiger, you can see the foot pads and toes, no claws. In contrast with a cheetah, you will always see the claws in its tracks because their claws don't retract. They keep them out all the time, exactly like a runner's spikes on the bottom of their shoes, which gives them extra traction as they pursue their prey. Though the cheetah is the undeniable master of speed, it isn't invincible. If we were out in the African plains now and there weren't these fences here, there's no way cheetahs would be as close as this to lions. Lions wouldn't think twice about stealing a cheetah's kill. So once a cheetah has caught its food, it needs to eat it quickly or drag it somewhere where it's going to be safe from prying eyes. You're in the holding area, about to enter Wolf Wood. Inside here is our pack of grey or timber wolves. You're now in Wolf Wood, home to our pack of wild grey wolves. Grey wolves are one of the most widespread of all the terrestrial predators. They're found right across the top of the Northern Hemisphere. And this is an animal that's fabulously adaptable. Its winter coat is one of the warmest found in the whole animal kingdom. And it needs to be. Because up in the far north of Siberia or in the far north of Canada, temperatures can be as low as minus 70 degrees in the winter. And the sun barely ever rises. It's dark and it's freezing cold. So being incredibly hardy is essential for the grey wolf to survive. Out in the wild, a wolf pack has a very defined structure. It's usually based around a family. There'll be sisters living together, and at the head of it, they'll have an alpha male and female. They control the pack and have the right to breed, and it's no different here with our wolves. Their hunting success is clearly down to their ability to work together as a team. They've got great stamina and they can run non-stop for many hours over huge distances. And if one wolf gets tired, it'll drop towards the back, allowing another one to take its place. By functioning together in this way, they can track and chase prey, exhaust it, and ultimately, as a group, bring it down. Well, that's the end of your safari. I hope you've enjoyed driving around, meeting all the different animals. It's certainly been my pleasure talking to you about them. I'll hand you back over to Darren now, who's got some top tips on how to make the most of the rest of your day here at Longleat. So goodbye for now, and hope to see you again soon.